That is a Fender FL. I think I was missing that. Yeah, before door front FL, this is a Fender FL. So for this Fender FL, yeah, it is here, Fender front light. So for this object, I don't want this. I don't want the light of the area light. I mean, sorry, the key light. So in our case, the key light was the last light we created. So the name is not shown here. So anyway, I just go with disable area light 4. You see that now? This object is not receiving that light anymore. You click again. Now this object is receiving that light. Yeah, you see that? So that's one good one. Now if I select the area light 3, that's it. In area light 2, I can disable. Area light 1, I can disable. So similarly, you can disable and you can enable the light from any object to this objects. Okay, I'm just showing you this as an option. So if you wish, you can use that. And if you don't want for this object, you can directly select on the screen here. So this is now, this object is hood. So if you don't want light for the hood, select the hood and disable the light for the hood. Now look at that. Now the light from the top is not falling on the hood. That looks clean and neat anyway. And also that looks like a 2D feel you may get. So like this, you can disable and enable the lighting to not fall on the object. Yeah, that's it. Let me just minimize this one. Guys, please understand the light linking would help you to connect any objects and disconnect any objects. Okay, do not forget that. Now the next thing we do is all the objects have already had lighting in it, already had a material in it. So let me just select this object and I want to change the color, the material that they have applied for this car. I mean, for the black color. So I don't know where and all they applied this black shader. Is it here or just here or just here, or is there anymore else? Did I miss something, or I have to select everything? Look at that, I have to select everything in the scene to select the objects with this shader. Okay, that is a little difficulty because you have to search and apply, but there is an easy way to do it. You can just select the model here, then go to your hypershade. Then in the hypershade, I did a mistake there somewhere. What is that? What's it? Is there any window gone? Okay, fine. Yes, the window is gone. Two windows are merged with each other. God, come out. He's stuck. Yeah, he's disturbing me like Internet Explorer. So let's go to the hypershade window. My hypershade window is gone. How are you doing? Did I drag and snap it somewhere? Okay, let me select this object. Okay, that's great. I go to my view, frame all, frame selector. Okay, you know what? You can just close this. Now, window, rendering editors, and hypershade. Yeah, great. Let me just increase this. Now, what I do here is I want to select all the objects which are using the same material. So I come here and then I just you can check here when you could say it's the KMLGHT body there. So I'll just scroll down and find out that material. So I can even type here KMLG and that material is gone. Here it is KMLGHT 85. Yeah, this is the material. So what I do now is please select the material, right click and choose select objects with material, which means it will select all the objects which are sharing this material. Look at that. Yeah, you see that? Now all the objects that are sharing the material is selected. That's it. Now I can right click here and I can go with assign new material. I right click and I switch to assign new material. There I go to my Arnold shader, and as usual we apply an not apply as usual. We go with an AI car paint. You see that? There's an AI car paint. You can apply an AI car paint here. Under Arnold shader it will be. Don't click under the Maya and search for it. You may not get it. Okay, go under the Arnold that you can find the AI paint. So click AI car paint. Yeah, look at that. So now by default the car paint you get here like this. Now you can just change the car paint color how you wish. Maybe like this, or you can click, you just go with a color like this. So yeah, that's really fascinating color. Look at that. God, no one would drive that. Yeah, this is even okay. It's an okay shape. Better than that, I go with the blue, dark. Okay. So you guys decide which one you would like to go with. Okay, great. So here, I think it's emitting too much of light, so we are able to get the detail here in this part of this car. So maybe I can just, and I may bring the light here and use the exposure here. I don't want too much exposure on the front part. So reduce exposure a little bit. And if you don't want this light to emit on, if you don't want this light energy to fall on other objects, you can use the light linking and you can disable that, as you guys know. Okay. Now, with this being done, let's select this wheel here. For the wheels, I select the wheels. For the wheel, they have please select the wheel here. Now, when you go to the material of the wheel, there you can see Fong material they have applied for the wheels. So click here, the wheel, for the wheel material. You select the object, come to the attribute editor, then click here and choose AI surface shader. Yeah, standard surface. We have AI standard surface. Click here and we'll switch from Fong to AI standard surface. So AI standard surface. Okay, it's done now. So I think they already have a car preset like rubber. I can just click the preset and choose rubber and replace. So now the rubber shader is applied. You can just bring down the color to black. And if there's any material they applied, you can apply that also. You can go to the color tab, you can click, and you can apply the material they applied. So once you click the color tab, then choose a file from the open window. Then go there to the file location where they save the files. And there you can find textures. So I have a tire shader here with that. I think this would be applied like rim off road. So that's a tire shader. I can just double click, apply, and look at that. So that looks really sweet and neat. Okay. Now, you may feel like, sir, my car is reflecting too much of light. Can I bring down some lights? Of course, you can bring down some lights. You can delete some lights. You can add some lights. It's up to your wish. You can add, you can rotate, and you can position the light as you wish. There's no problem with that. The next thing is select the 3D model here. We already have the shader, right? So right click, go to material attributes. There you can find your AI car paint. Now please listen here, guys. Scroll down. There you can find. Let me just zoom in a little. Yeah. Now please look. There you can find a fall off. If the fall off is 0, there will not be any fall off in the light. It will be emit as such. Okay. So anyway, it be 1. And roughness. There's a roughness here. Guys, now we are working at the specular. Please scroll up. At the upside, you can find the first attribute in your shader is weight, which is 0.8. You can bring it to 0 or 1. Okay. So this is the weight of this color. Then there is a color, we know about this. Then roughness is there. If you bring the roughness to 0, it will look like it's reflecting too much of light. It will look like a paint. If you increase the roughness, okay, then that will add some difference there. Okay, there won't be too much of reflection. So by default they want it to be 0.5. Then there is a specular color. When you see here the whites, these are specular colors. So if you change the specular colors, look at that, there is a dim. But if it is needed for your lighting, you can just bring it down. Okay, so everything here is under specular. Under specular, we have all these options. Okay, you can just work with that. Okay, now there's a transmission. Transmission is all about how much light it transmits from the object. That's what transmission. Okay, and even with the specular, we have a roughness. You can just increase the roughness and look at that. It will be like a rough material. Okay, now it's like a normal material there. And even here, they just made this to be 0.05, not too much. The next one here is a coat, which is an important one. Guys, coat is the, this is a core paint, right? So the topmost layer that tells you about, that's a coat, that's a reflection. So how much reflection you want, that's all about this coat. The coat is about the reflection of the entire object. So there you can find your roughness is 0. So let me just bring up the roughness now. So once you bring up the roughness, then it may look like a matte paint car or something like that. Look at this. I bring down the color. The color is white by default. I just bring down the color here. Now it looks like a matte painted car. You see that there is no reflection because the colors are also, even the reflection color is also brought down to black. So you may not get much. So this is what you get with the coat shader. You can either go with a black matte paint finishing or with a normal reflector surface. So it's up to you to decide which one to go with. Look at here. When you go further here, you will get a soft, a normal shape. It's a rough surface there. Okay, and I think we can't go beyond 1. Okay. I don't want too much of reflective surface. I want a little shade there. So I just give my roughness to 0.045. Okay, this is roughness that I have chosen for my car model. So hope you guys understood till this time. You have any questions for me? Okay, let's stop this here and let me save the file. Now I just save this again with LR2 AOV. Now we're entering inside the AOV pass. Guys, you don't need to do exactly like you did. Okay, you have the liberty to do anything. You can change things. You can put a rim light there. You can put a rim light behind the car. Okay, and you can put one light on the bottom. You could do that also. And what's happened with the shadows? It's not emitting that much shadows now. I think it should emit some shadows. If I bring the light a little down and make it a shadow. But I don't want too much object also. Okay. Now, listen carefully. We're going to render settings here. Let's go to render settings. Now, this is the renderable camera. I don't want this renderable camera for my perspective. So let's delete the perspective camera. I want the renderable cameras for look development. Then here, I just want to give a location where I want to save the files. So let's go to edit, or no, I'll tell you about this later. Okay, now by default, this is the location where the files will be saved, like C, user, Dina, multimedia, documents, Maya, projects, default images. But if you want this default location to save the render images into different location, you should go to your file and you should set your project. So once you set your project, file set project, and once you move to your I'm sorry, file set project. Once you move to the location, then whichever location you wish, that will be set. Okay, if you already have a project with you. Now I go to my Arnold renderer. There's an AOV. I go to the AOV pass. Now we are going to take the reflection of that image alone separate, and we are going to take specular light of that render alone separately. Then we are going to take the diffuseness. Diffuseness is how the light spread everywhere. We're going to take that directly out of this. And direct light is something when the light falls on the 3D object directly. We call this as a direct light path. Whereas when the light bounces off from a surface and falls on an object, we call it indirect light. When you look into my face, there will be a direct light, indirect light. My light source is here. So this area of my face might be receiving some direct lighting because it is directly hitting on my face there. It's bounced off from the other objects. The light may fall on my metal here, okay, and then it will reflect back to my face. Those are indirect lighting. Okay, so direct lighting from the source, indirect lighting, and reflected lighting. That's it. So that's what indirect lighting. So first thing is diffuseness tells about how much light is spreaded around the object. We call it as diffuse. So here, let me choose a diffuse shader. Let's scroll down. I can see diffuse. You see that? Diffuse albedo, diffuse. I hold my control. Diffuse direct. I am holding my control again. Diffuse indirect. Right. Then I want, coat. Coat is the reflection. I want that. So control albedo, control direct light, control indirect light. So what is this albedo? Albedo is all about only the base information. It won't carry light information. Okay, diffuse albedo will tells you about how light spread around the object. That's it. It won't tell you whether it's indirect light or direct lighting. Similarly, coat albedo tells you how reflection is spread it won't tell you whether that reflection is a direct light or indirect light, because that's why we are going to take a direct light and indirect light also a separate AOV. Okay, these are render passes. So later when we take all this information separately, we take this to Photoshop, because you know only Photoshop. Unless I would have taken that file to After Effects or Nuke or Toxic or Lustre, any other compositing software, then we could combine everything, then can create a perfect image, much perfect than what Arnold is producing. So why do we need this? Everything is perfect here. I think everything is perfect. Why you're separating everything away? It seems like everything is composed already, like a proper mix here, sir. Why you want to take everything away? Because if you want to change the color here, okay, at the end of when I do my final compositing, like for a Fast and Furious movie, okay, for, the F9 is a recent movie for Fast and Furious, right? I've seen it, man. It was too much boring. It's like it was okay. Well, boys' toys was fine, but when they travel into the space with the car, that's too much. It's too much hype. Yeah, let's come back to the topic here. So when you're working for movies like that, most of them cars will be in 3D, like all the stunt action, like jumping and everything. And some of them would be in 3D. So when you work for such 3D environment, at some point you have to re-render everything, or at some point you have to change the color of your car. You have to come back to Maya to change the color. Then again you have to render for 4,000 frames. See, 1 minute has 24 frames. 1 second has 24 frames. So for 1 minute, how many frames you'll be having? 1 second equal 24 frames, or then for 1 minute, how many you have? 1 second equal to 24. So 1 minute equal to 1 minute has 60 seconds. So 1 second equal to 24. 1 minute equal to 16 to 24, which is what?
1447.
Yeah, it is 1440. So it's 1440. Then if it is for 10 minutes, it is 14,000. So if it is for 1 hour, then you just do a math. So it comes to around 82,000, 8290, maybe a lakh frames. That much you have to re-render again because you want the color to change. That's too bad, right? If you want the color to be not dark blue, a light blue. A director may ask, or a technical director may ask. Then you have to come back to Maya. You have to change the color. You have to re-render everything. That would take a hell lot of time. Instead, if I export the color information separately, I can change the color also. I can increase the reflection, I can decrease the reflection. With this one image, you can't, but with this, I could do it. So I scroll up. This is an ID. ID tells about the color information. So ID tells about the color, only the color information of each area. Then we have a normal pass, then position. Okay, normal is I think the normal might be covered in your morning classes. Anyway, then just come down. Diffuse is done. Then I have a is specular I've taken. The text specular there? No. Okay. I have a specular here, so I can take specular also. Specular 1, 2, 3. Specular albedo, direct, indirect. I'm holding my control and selecting this. If you leave the control, then you have to select everything again. And I have a emission. I have a transmission also there. I don't think I have much transmission, but anyway, I take this transmission, albedo, direct, indirect. Okay. Is that's it? Is or anything else we need to do? Maybe just a minute. I think I already done something with my system. Maybe I go to my. Yeah, look at this. I have beauty, I'll coat, diffuse, and specular. That's it. So let's go with that. So I need a coat, diffuse, and specular. So I don't want transmission. So hold the control again and click the transmission. That will be disable. Now we have specular 3 passes, diffuse 3 passes, code 3 passes, so total of 9 passes, plus ID 10, normal 11, then position 12 pass. And maybe I can have one emission pass. Hold the control and click. I have one emission pass now. Okay. Okay. Now I need light information. I need light information such as I want to know which part of my 3D model. When you take my entire 3D model, I want to know which part of my 3D model is receiving no light and receiving too much light and receiving a mediocre light, like a highlight, midtone, and shadows. Okay, so I need that information also. Only for the car, not for the entire environment. Only for the car, I need that information. We already have a direct lighting for specular, and we also have a direct lighting for coat, which is reflection. But we don't have how much direct light the entire car is getting. We don't have that information. So we call it as an ambient occlusion. ambient occlusion. This reference, I think I go here. Just type it as ambient occlusion, which tells about how much highlight, midtones, and shadows that an object gets. Okay, that an object gets. Not for specular, not for diffused coating. Coat is reflection. Specular is this one. Whereas diffuse is everything. Okay, whereas occlusion, ambient occlusion is which tells only about the object and how much energy the object is receiving, how much light is it receiving. It won't have any specular reflection, no diffusers. It will just source the entire object, how much light is given. But the ambient occlusion is not here. The ambient occlusion is not here in this pass. So we are going to create that pass. How? Let's create an empty pass, then apply the ambient occlusion shader on that. We're going to create an empty pass now. Then we are going to apply an existing ambient occlusion shader, which is in Arnold. Then we apply it here. Okay, how to do that? Let's create an add custom. Okay, please click the button here, add custom. Okay, let's say ambient occlusion, AO. Yeah, it may sound fine. Ambient occlusion. So when I just now, oh, my selection is gone. No, anytime my selection may go, my selection may go. So I don't want to lose that. So I just click this button here. So whatever you selected on the left side will be assigned to your scene. So this is default. This is your scene. So let me click this button. So whatever I select on the left will be assigned here. Look at that. Now all the renders have been added to your scene, and Maya is starting to rendering them again. Maya is rendering each and every render passes now. Look at that, it's delaying. It's delaying because it's rendering all the passes you added now, render passes. Okay, render pass, PASS, yes. Now the ambient occlusion, it has nothing, right? It's just an empty. Look at that. So when you select any other shader, any other passes, you can get the settings at the right side. Okay, you can get the settings of all the other things at the right side. So now when you select the AO here, there is no setting. Look here, there's no setting, and it asks you there is a shader that you can connect with. You see that? Now click on this checkbox. Then here under Arnold, click on the Arnold. Then type in the search bar ambient occlusion. You see that? Ambient occlusion. Start with capital A. AI is for Arnold interface. So Arnold interface ambient occlusion. Now just click this once. Now that shader is applied. Now the shader is applied to this AO pass. Now look at this. My Maya is rendering them again. Okay, the rendering is going on at 56, at 57, it's blah, 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 blah. I request you guys to save these each images as a PNG file. Okay. There is a EXOR file format. When you render this, all these render images will be combined into one single image. And when you take that one single image to Nuke or After Effects or any other software, you can extract all the images which are concealed inside that image. You can extract them, but that option is not available in Photoshop, so we can't do that. Now, with this being done, I just go to my file menu and no. Now, before we go further, you see that it's a beauty pass. Guys, look here. We call this as a beauty pass because all the render passes are combined together. All the render passes are combined together as a single final image. This render final image, we call this as beauty pass. Please don't forget, we call this as a beauty path because this is one single render final image. Okay, whereas when you go beneath it, you can find an AO, ambient occlusion. So click here. You see that this is ambient occlusion. See, it tells you how much area is getting too much light, because this area is getting too much light from the top, from the side, from here, pure white. And the areas which are getting no light is black in color. Look inside the cervix of the light here. Yeah, and inside the cervix you won't get that, and inside the tire you won't get any light. And these are some of the mediocre areas where you may get few light. With this, you may get some light here. Okay, so we have highlight, midtone, on shadows. This is what ambient occlusion will do. Now I click here. I go to ID map. ID map tells you about. It just gives you color information of each area. That we will use this color information while when you work for Maya or any of the when you work in After Effects or any of the compositing software. If you want to select only the window, then this map will help you. When you just click only on this, when you take a color picker and click only on this, only that area will be selected. So that's easy for you when you work with selections, right? So mostly we'll be working on selections, and you go to any tool like Photoshop or any other 2D applications or compositing applications. You have to select something, then you have to apply some effect on it. So selection is much important. So if you want to select the tire, you can click that tire. You can click here. If you want to select the bumper, you can click here and select the bumper. If you want to select the mirror, you can click here because it's of same color. You can easily select that. So you need ID. That really saves much of your time, man. Then click again. You have a normal pass. I think in your modeling class they'll cover about the normal passes. Anyway, I'll give you an intro. Normal pass is about it tell you how the color, how each vertex has to behave in the 3D environment. Then we have position pass. It tells about the position of your 3D model. It's not much important now. Let's go to the code. Do you remember code? I said code is all about reflection. Now go here. This is reflection of the car, but it doesn't have any. It doesn't have direct light or indirect light. It tells you the total reflection of the car. This is total reflection of the car, but it has no direct or indirect light. Now I'm going to show you the reflection for the direct lighting. This is a direct light reflection. You see that? Cool, right? We have a reflection here, man. Cool reflection here. So if you want more reflection, you just select this layer and duplicate it in Photoshop. You get too many reflections. You don't need to come back to Maya and redo again. Then we have quote indirect. Indirect is something, it's not from the direct light. It will be reflected from the other surfaces to the car. Then we have diffuse albedo. So here we have diffuse albedo pass. Diffuse tells about how the light is spread around an object. It's just light spreaded. That's it. It won't give any reflection or anything, just a light spread. And this is the base. Diffuse tells you about the base color of your car. The base color of the car is diffuse. If you want to change the color of your car, you should always go to diffuse and change the color. That's the base color of the car. So the base color is spread in this way. This is the base color of the car, diffuse albedo. Then how much direct light this diffuse is getting. Yeah, and how much indirect light the diffuse is getting. This is. Then you have emission. We don't have any emission here because we don't have any emission surface like glass or what do you say, a mirror, that we don't have any mirror or water. Those kind of objects might have emission. So I know we don't have emission. Anyway, then specular. Look at this. This is specular. The specular is It's a kind of a layer. Okay, specular is a light which spread. When a light falls on an object, it reflects back. That's reflection. Whereas when light falls on an object, it spreads a little on the surface. We call that as a specular. So this is specular albedo, then specular direct. Yeah, look at that. You see this? This is a specular. You see that? So if you don't want this specular, you can erase this in Photoshop. So yeah, it's easy. That's what compositing application is famous for. That's why visual effect industry is famous for. That is why we have to work with new core After Effects, because we can't every time come back to Maya and do it. See, now I have the render pass. I just take my eraser there and I delete it. That's it. This lighting will be gone. So that's easy way. And if you know how to render these passes, okay? And specular indirect lighting. So it's indirect lighting, not a direct light, light which reflects. Guys, please don't understand. If you call yourself as, if you call yourself a lighting artist or a person who knows 3D, then you should know about this lighting render passes. In the previous versions of Maya, they called it as render passes. Now they changed it into AOV. Okay, you can check that about how AOV works. Everything you can check from the help page manual of Maya. And you are not a 3D artist, you're not a lighting guy, or you're not fit for visual effects, which you will learn the next semester if you don't know render passes. So these render passes are essential. Okay, these render passes are really essential. And when all these images I showed you, when all the images combine together, you get this beauty pass. But the problem is I can't change reflection in the beauty pass. If I do any changes in this image, it will affect the entire image. Okay, so I had to go and extract each and everything into a separate file. So I just go here, AVO pass, I go to file, AVO pass, and I go to file, then I save this image. I already saved this image here. Maybe I can just put a folder here called LR2. So LR2 in this location. Great. I just named this image now as avo.png. Okay. Then ID. So files. Oh, sorry. File. Save. And id.png. Similarly, save all the render images you have. This is normal. So save image. Normal.png. Similarly, save all your images. Then position you have files, save image, site1.png. Similarly, save all the images. It's a quote albedo. So save image, LR2, quote albedo.png. Of course, there's an easy way to save also, but anyway. Now quote direct, save image, because I want to name this so I won't be get any confused with later part. Let's quote direct.png. This is beautiful quote direct. Quote direct. Okay, then you have quote indirect. I think something is missing there. No, right. Okay, quote indirect file, save image. Got two and save this as quote indirect. Then we have diffuse albedo file, save image. Let's go inside. Use albedo.png. Similarly, diffuse direct. Then I have diffuse indirect. And my emission is not working, so there's no point in taking this emission. So let's not save the emission. Let's go for specular albedo. Specular albedo. LR2. Then we have specular direct. Then we have specular indirect. So everything is done now. I have rendered. I stop this. Then let me save this file. Right. I saved my scene, and let's go to LR2. Now look inside. View. We have extra large images. Now look at that. This is my ambient occlusion. Then my albedo, which is a reflections albedo. Quote. Then look at the reflections things.